Happy Tuesday morning, everybody. Welcome into another day of Morning JOX here. Conrad Van Order alongside Damian Mitchell as we get you ready for the start of college football season, as we are pretty much in the thick of it now, 4 days away from week 0 and Farmageddon there in Dublin, Ireland. So you can smell it in the air this week as we finally made it to game week in college football, and just about a week and a half away now from the start of SEC football as well, with, of course, Auburn and Baylor getting us started next Friday. So a lot for us to break down for you, as yesterday you did have Hugh Freeze speaking and saying a lot of things, and some things that I'll just say this. We will get into all the nitty-gritty of that. I do think some of the comments that Hugh Freeze made yesterday and some of the things that you may have seen on social media might be a little overblown. I don't think that we need to take some of these comments as seriously as some people are, but if you know, you know, and if you don't, we'll tell you about it here coming up in just a matter of minutes. But again, it is just exciting to know that we are ever so close to the start of college football, and something that I just kind of wanted to throw out there at the beginning, and we'll throw it out throughout the show here today. And part of this is from Pat Smith, because he put together this really nice highlight reel yesterday for us on Three Man Front. It just kind of took you down memory lane of last season, right before we kick off this season, just going back and remembering, like, what was your favorite moment of the 2024 college football season? What is there one moment that when you look back a decade from now, 2 decades from now, and you go, man, that's the defining moment for me of the 2024 college football season? Whether you're an Alabama fan, an Auburn fan, Florida fan, a Tennessee fan, or whatever, even if you're a Texas A&M fan, we want to hear from you and just what your favorite moments are. What are the lasting memories going to be before we set off on what will hopefully be another very memorable season of college football. It's always good to take one last second to look back and reflect, and I know especially for Damian, since it's his last season as a Tennessee fan, there might be some memories that are hard for him to let go of, as one would expect.
Oh, I'm not a Titans fan anymore?
No, I was
you're
talking about
college
the
football.
orange ones.
No. No.
What?
I was not a Tennessee fan last year.
Yes, you were.
I am always going to be a Josh Heupel fan. He just so happens to coach at the University of Tennessee.
So, okay, real quick, a reminder for everybody. On Thursday when we have our Jocks kickoff party, that's when you're going to make your decision on who you're going to root for this upcoming year.
Yes.
So,
I will say, I have made my decision.
Oh, you have made your decision?
Yeah, my recruitment is officially locked out. Like, there's only one school that will be represented on Thursday.
And when did you come to this decision?
Or
how did it come to you?
Well, I had some discussion with some family members and some of the people that are fans of this certain school, and I asked how would it be if I rock with you for this season. They're like, hey, come on, man, it should be a good time. I think the expectation for this team is pretty high in 2025. I think they have a lot of good pieces to build on, and I think that, to ride the wave in 2025, who knows, it may be a lifelong decision, but I know for this football season, it's going to be a good time. And I slept on it, prayed about it, and I said, you know what, this is who I'm rocking with. And as of Sunday, I solidified my fandom. So as far as any recruitment goes, I appreciate it. If you still want to donate to the NIL fund, it's always open. We can schedule arrangements for pay. But as of right now,
you're shutting it down.
I'm shutting it down. It's if you look at my name in the transfer portal, it's locked.
Okay.
It's locked.
Yeah, you have a do not contact tag on you now.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, we'll find out who Damian's going to root for in 2 days. But see, my question was just going to be, if the team that you're now rooting for, if they happen to play Tennessee this year, you're not going to root for Tennessee, are you?
No, I won't.
No. But what if Tennessee wins that game? Is it going to be one of those, I really wish this team that I just started rooting for had won, but it just feels like it could be an easy way out for you, right? Of getting past a
When I watch
loss.
a football game, Conrad, besides the Tennessee Titans, I can look at a game objectively. All I see is 11 on 11, and I will do my job at the highest level.
But you're a fan. That's not how that works.
No. Okay. Who knows? They may not even play Tennessee this year. They could, but I'll let everybody know on Thursday.
Okay. Well, we will look forward to that, and of course on Friday for everyone that unfortunately, I'm sure it'll be out there on social media and all that, but we'll have an update for everybody of what team Damien's going to root for this upcoming year, because Alabama's on the list. Is Auburn? Auburn's not in the top 5, are they?
No, they're not.
No, it's Alabama, Tennessee,
Florida, Ole Miss, and Oklahoma.
Okay. Well, keep your eyes peeled for that of what team Damien's going to root for this upcoming season. Someone says Damien is a Gamecock. Well, unfortunately, that's not on the table, so maybe next year, right?
There's always next year.
Yeah, there's always next year. So we will we'll dive into that a little bit later on in the week. But let's get to some of the things that we heard from Hugh Freeze yesterday, because, again, he got to speak after Auburn practice, so he also kind of got to give some of his thoughts on the scrimmage from Friday as well, because this is the first time we've heard from Hugh Freeze since then. So he did his press conference yesterday around 11:30. Then he also had Tiger Talk last night, and Tiger Talk is where some interesting comments came out that people were latching onto on social media. But we'll get to that in a second. But first, let's hear a little bit from Hugh Freeze, the Auburn head coach, and what he had to say in his normal press conference yesterday. And so first off, we'll just start off. What were his thoughts on the scrimmage from last Friday? Again, we heard, the offense made some big plays. Cam Coleman had a couple of touchdown passes, but again, seemed like the defense maybe got the better of the offense, at least early on. So what did Hugh Freeze see on Friday in scrimmage number 2?
We're affecting the quarterback, at least in against us. We are. But we've got to cage him once he's out of there, or that can create explosive plays. I think both Jackson, Deuce, and Ashton, all three, are really good at keeping their eyes up when those things happen, and created some explosive plays that really, you would hope are not explosive plays. So we had a period on that today where it was just a team pass, and hadn't got to watch it yet, but we were this is a weird kind of week because, we're simulating next week, which today's a Tuesday, and we have class at 11 o'clock on Monday, so it was tight, and so I hadn't had a chance to watch the film. But I thought defensively in the scrimmage, they did really well, tackled well again, guarded well. Just gave up a few too many explosive plays, and offensively, good thing, 0 turnovers, which was nice. We had some really solid, good, dirty runs that keep us ahead of the chains through the RPO game well, but the drop back game still needs some improving for sure. But definitely thought we took a step forward in those. In those areas.
There you go. So, yeah, you heard him talking about the offense there, and he had some good things to say about the running back room and Jeremiah Cobb and Damari Alston kind of being, I guess, at the front of the pack there in terms of being the most complete runners. But you also have Omar Mabson continuing to stand out as well there offensively. But you heard him talking about the quarterbacks too, and a little bit about how maybe the drop back passing game is something that, if you were to look at the offense as a whole, maybe that's the part that still has the most room left to improve heading into the season and over the course of the season. And so now, if we can go to cut 7, Damien, that will Hugh Freeze kind of expanding a little bit on what he said there with the drop back passing, what he's seen from that, how it can be more consistent, and just kind of overall how this offense has progressed through fall so far.
We got to get more consistent, but really we've improved from week 1 to week 2 in run game, RPO game. I think it's more of the pocket passing right now that I'm a little unsure of. It's kind of like we were just talking about with the quarterback runs. This I hope is I've always felt like this in fall camp. I think it's hopefully harder on the offense than it will be later in games. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. I'm excited about the athleticism of our defense, and we've got to improve even. But they also, since February, have been going against each other and know, oh, this is a pass, and I'm fixing to get after it. And that puts you at kind of a disadvantage. And hopefully that won't always be the case when you're playing an opponent. But I think there's definitely been signs of improvement that get me excited about us, but still feel like that pocket is getting collapsed a little too quick.
So there you go. There you have a little bit more of an in-depth look at some of the issues with the drop back passing game that Hugh Freeze was talking about yesterday. So the pocket collapsing, which, I mean, a lot of that falls on the offensive line, as well as the quarterback. But, because we've heard, one of the issues this fall at times has been maybe holding on the ball a little bit too long at the quarterback position. We all saw why Hugh Freeze threw his visor down last week because of that exact situation. But again, I mean, at this point, you're still always going to be a work in progress. I don't think this is a major red flag or should be a massive surprise to anybody or anything like that. I think he's just being, transparent about the state of things and where they have room left to improve. But he also would go on to talk about the quarterbacks behind Jackson Arnold. So we know Jackson Arnold's going to be the starter. But this is where I think this quote, what you're going to hear right here, in conjunction with something he said on Tiger Talk, had Auburn fans maybe scratching their heads a little bit yesterday. So this is Hugh Freeze on the quarterbacks behind Jackson Arnold, Ashton Daniels, Deuce Knight, and their roles this season.
Think that there's a place for both, depending on the scenario in the game. Without giving away too much, I think, there's a place for both of those guys that you could play to their strengths. And we won't be afraid to do that.
And then you couple that with, on Tiger Talk, Hugh Freeze was asked if Auburn could play all three of their quarterbacks in the season opener against Baylor, to which he responded, yes. So when you take those two things and you combine them together, obviously people start to wonder, maybe Jackson Arnold's really not as secure as QB1 as we thought that he was, or, Hugh Freeze is going to try to get too cute with it and try to run out all these different trick plays and these different packages to give Baylor different looks defensively than maybe what they prepared for. And look, I'll be honest, I think a lot of that stuff was getting, people run crazy with those kinds of comments on social media. We've seen that many times before. I think it's more so him saying, look, yeah, there's an opportunity for us to get those guys on the field and we think they can help us win, then we're absolutely going to do that. And they feel confident that if they needed to play all three of the quarterbacks, that they could, and they could have success with each of them out there on the field. But I don't think in any way is this an indication that Jackson Arnold's not the starter. I think he's firmly secured his spot as QB1. I think it's more so just Hugh Freeze saying, yeah, we feel comfortable with these guys and we've worked through packages for all three of these guys. And if we need to use that, then we're comfortable doing so, on top of, maybe just a little gamesmanship, just plant the seed in the mind of Dave Aranda that, hey, we might need to take a look at all three of these guys, not just one or two of them.
It's week 1 too, man. Think about this. Baylor probably have a set amount of players like, okay, this is what we think Hugh Freeze has run. This is what he's ran just about everywhere he's been. This is what he's done what he did with Auburn last year. And also there's some gadget plays. Imagine, I'll put it like this for Auburn fans. If you are on the fence like, oh man, Jackson. No, it's like the red zone Robbie package. It's literally like, hey, there might be a second and short, and Ashton Daniels comes in at the same time. They might have a double pass. It's it's a little gamesmanship of, okay, you got to put that little, like you said, put that little nugget of information in Dave Aranda's ear where it's like, okay, well, we've never seen this freshman in Deuce Knight, but now we got to address that, hey, if he's on the field, these are the things that he could potentially do. I don't expect, we're going to go out there and watch a Deuce Knight drive, or we're going to watch an Ashton Daniels drive because Jackson Arnold, on the second drive of the game, they're in and like they're going to go out there and play. No, it's just a couple packages here and there. I'm not expecting Deuce Knight to go out there and have 15, designed quarterback runs, a couple passes. I'm not expecting Ashton Daniels to get, the entire third quarter or things like that. No, it's still Jackson Arnold's team. they're just looking at different ways to get their playmakers the ball in unique, situations. So I wouldn't read too much into it.
No, I don't think it's any sort of an indication that, maybe they're unhappy with the quarterback's development as a whole, and so it's more of a, well, Jackson Arnold's going to be on a short leash, or whoever's in there is going to be on a short leash. I don't think it's anything like that at all. I think, again, we're comfortable with the 3 guys that we have, and we have packages for all of them, and if we need to use that to win, then we're going to do whatever it takes to win. I think it's more from that angle of, if we have to mix it up and throw something in there, we can do that. But I think if Jackson Arnold's in there and he's executing at a high level, I don't think you're going to mess with that. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to hear from you, though, Auburn fans. Did those comments maybe give you a reason for concern, make you pause last night when you heard that? Or are you kind of in line with me and Damian where you think it's kind of a non-issue and just something that people have latched onto? Because, again, right, we're chomping at the bit for these games to actually get underway, and you're going to latch onto these kinds of comments and try to dissect them as much as we can because we're just ready to see the product actually on the field. But we'd love to hear from you, 205-834-9450. You can also throw in, what was your favorite moment from the 2024 college football season, as we'll take some time a little bit later to look back at some of our favorite moments as well. But we have some other news going around college football. Yet another former Alabama quarterback is going to start for someone else this year, and some other big quarterback news around the country that we have yet to get to. Some more as we get you ready for the kickoff to college football next on Morning JOX. Oh, 621. Welcome back into Morning JOX here on your Tuesday morning. Appreciate you making us a part of your day each and every morning here on JOX. Conrad and Damian with you until 7 o'clock when we will hand you over to McElroy and Kublik in the morning. But spent the first segment here breaking down what you heard from Hugh Freeze yesterday. Some of you chiming in already on the courtesy GMC text line at 205-834-9450. But if you're just now joining us, Hugh Freeze essentially saying yesterday, amongst other things, but talking about the offense and the quarterback position, that the drop back passing game is something that can continue to improve for Auburn. And a lot of that he mentions is, you're going up against a defense that has essentially seen all of the tools of the trade, right? They know what's coming most of the time when you're in these scrimmage and practice settings. And so the defense continues to have a little bit of an advantage there because they know what's coming. And when you go up against Baylor, for example, coming up next Friday, they're not going to know immediately, hey, is this a pass? Is this a run? What is it? And so he thinks that'll help the offense come along. But he also mentioned the fact that Ashton Daniels and Deuce Knight are coming along nicely, and both of them have, I guess, their own sort of packages, their own sort of roles in this offense where, if need be, Auburn doesn't have a problem rolling either one of them out there and taking advantage of their unique skill sets. And then, of course, on Tiger Talk last night, you got Hugh Freeze kind of going even further than that and being asked, hey, could we see all 3 quarterbacks against Baylor? To which he said yes. And a lot of people started scratching their heads of, okay, well, what does this mean about Jackson Arnold? Or is this just a situation of trying to get too cute and trying to roll everybody out there instead of just focusing on what the game plan is with Jackson Arnold? But again, I think a lot of that's being kind of blown out of proportion. And as the suit Ryan Haney sent us on the text line this morning, he says it's a symptom of people's reality when they live on Twitter. And yes, that is. You got to remember, it's easy to, get wrapped up in things on social media, and you see one person saying something and it reaffirms a concern or a doubt you had, and you go, oh no, maybe this is the reality. It's the same thing. I had a bunch of people text me, oh my, is Alabama's season over with Jam Miller? How concerned, should Alabama be about Florida State now? Is Florida State, the favorite in the season opener? And it's like, I mean, it stinks. It's a big injury. Jam Miller's certainly a loss that you didn't want to have if you're Alabama, but no, if you lose to Florida State without Jam Miller, you got bigger problems than Jam Miller, in his collarbone, right? Like, so it's not that deep. Just like I don't think this quarterback situation with Auburn is that deep, and I don't think Hugh Freeze meant for it to, kind of spread like wildfire the way that it has. But Lane Kiffin having some fun with it as he tends to do, because if you missed his tweet, He kind of echoes one of our texters here who texts in. So I guess at Auburn, each coordinator has their own quarterback. Quarterback 1 for first down, quarterback 2 for second down, quarterback 3 for third down, just like the play callers. And that is essentially what you saw Lane Kiffin having fun with on Twitter yesterday.
See, this is why I love football season, because of things like this, man. You can't deny it means more down here, especially in the state of Alabama too. But I love situations like this where it feels, and granted, Hugh kind of does it to himself at times, but it's funny and also kind of frustrating that, man, they are anything this man says, they absolutely eat up. And it's like, come on, man, let the brother breathe a little bit, man. And I just think, like, it's so overblown. It is so overblown. It is, again, it's not like we're that far removed of Nick Saban couldn't name a starting quarterback, and he had, Cooper Bateman, Blake Barnett, and Jalen Hurts all out there. Now, you still beat the brakes off USC. It didn't really matter which quarterback you threw out there. But it happens. Like, we see situations like this, and he knows who his starting quarterback is.
I was about to say, this isn't even like that situation. You know who your guy is.
All right, he's just like, hey, we got some tricks up our sleeve, man. We got a bunch of weapons that we got to find a way. Just, again, go back to red zone Robbie. Like, it almost was cut in stone. If Auburn got into the red zone with any other quarterback that they had, it didn't matter. Robbie Ashford was going out there, and maybe it could be a quarterback sweep, it can be quarterback power, or he may mess around and throw it. Who knows? But, that coach isn't here anymore. Neither is Robbie Ashford. But, again, it's kind of one of those it's a wrinkle, it's a change-up, and calm down. Just calm down.
Maybe Hugh Freeze is really confident they're going to beat Baylor by, 30-plus.
And he's putting the backups in.
Yeah, that's what he was talking about.
Hey, you're right. Yeah. You're right. I'm sorry I didn't understand your game, Coach Freeze. I mean, you hung out with him at the SEC Media Day, so I'm surprised you don't have the script of what's going to happen the first couple plays.
That's right. Yeah, me and Hugh are the best of buds now. But, hey, he was nice. Very, very nice. Stopped, said hey to me for a second, so very personable.
Didn't you say War Eagle to him?
I did not.
Oh.
I did not. But, no, he was nice. So nothing but good things to say about my interaction with Coach Freeze, to say the least. But but anyways, it was just funny seeing, again, this kind of stuff spread like wildfire on social media. And, I think it goes to show, and it's maybe the best example of what this season means for a lot of people, particularly Auburn fans, right? And just how much, because I think there's this, it's almost like a tug of war of excitement, but stress, where, we're so excited to see what the product on the field looks like. There's so much reason for optimism. There 100% is reason to have optimism. But you still have that little bit, that little thought maybe in the back of your mind of like, is this actually going to work? Is this actually going to be the year that Auburn takes that big step? And so I think that's why you see all of these comments getting dissected by Hugh Freeze, because you have so many people that are looking for any reason to convince themselves that this is the year, but you also have maybe just as many people out there looking for every reason to convince themselves that Hugh Freeze is going to continue to be a bust and that this is going to be his last year on the Plains. So it just kind of shows you how much excitement there is around this Auburn football team, and how much, maybe a little bit of cautious optimism that some people have as well. So it's always good to see that closer and closer we get to college football season. And as we've said many times, you can just kind of tell sometimes with the chippiness that you get on the text line and from some of the callers and things, it's definitely feels a little different than it has the past couple of years. And that's the way that we like it right here on JOX. So we'll continue to hear from you. Y'all can keep chiming in on the Courtesy GMC text line as we roll along, get to some more of that college football news I was talking about, is multiple big-time programs naming their QB1s here in the last couple of days. And how many former Alabama quarterbacks could you see in the Power 4 this year? Let me tell you, it's a lot of them, and we'll name them for you next here on JOX. Welcome back in. Tuesday edition of Morning JOX. Conrad and Damian here with you until 7 o'clock when McElroy and Kublik in the morning will be up. And we are continuing to bring you the latest college football news around the country. But first, you did have a little bit of action last night. I know a lot of you probably excited. You had a little taste of Monday Night Football as the Bengals took on the Commanders last night, a little preseason action. So the Bengals took down the Commanders 31-17. You got a little bit of an extended look at Joe Burrow as he went out there through 9 of 14 for 62 yards and a touchdown. Jake Browning came in, had a big night. He had 159 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air there. And you had Mitchell Tinsley, who was the hero last night. 5 catches, 73 yards, and 2 tutties. He had one in the back of the end zone, kind of like over the defender. It was some nasty work there. But good look for the Bengals. Offensive line continues to not look great for Joe Burrow. So we'll see how that plays out over the course of the season. But
did you notice anything on the sideline for the Bengals? Did you notice a quarterback hovering around? Number 10. He wears number 10 now.
I did not. Who?
Peyton Thorne.
Really? He's a Cincinnati Bengal?
Yes, sir.
Well, he didn't play last night.
No, he didn't. I think he kind of understands where his place is on that Bengal squad. But yeah, there were a couple. I saw it was in the first quarter, and Joe Burrow had just gotten out for a drive, and sure enough, somebody was holding the iPad right beside him, and I saw the last name and said Thorne. He turned to the side. I said, "Is that Peyton? Like, look at you, man! Congratulations! That you got a job for a couple weeks. Like, I hope he has success wherever he goes, but." I just don't think he'll be a Cincinnati Bengal for long.
I missed that. So yeah, good. Congratulations to the Thorne family.
Absolutely.
So, hopefully he has a long and fruitful career in the National Football League. But we'll wait and see on that one. But speaking of quarterbacks, it seems that this is the time of year where everyone in college football wants to name a starting quarterback, and we've gotten a lot of that news here in the past few days. But of course it was yesterday, or I guess it was Sunday night actually, where you had Tennessee. They named Joey Aguilar is officially going to be QB1. I don't think that was a big surprise after they got him to come to Knoxville in the transfer portal after Nico decided to go to Los Angeles. But through fall camp, you had heard that maybe some of the freshmen there in Tennessee had been throwing a little bit of a better ball and maybe a little more accurate, but hey, this is a guy with starting experience. I can understand why you're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. So we will see how Joey Aguilar does this. He will be the starting quarterback, at least to kick off the season for the Tennessee Volunteers as they look to make another run at the college football playoff like they did last season. But you also had Julian Sayin, who we had kind of expected that he would be the QB1 for Ohio State. But I know he was in a quarterback battle there with a couple of their other big recruits over the last couple of years. So the Alabama transfer will be the starter for Ohio State as he gets to take on Arch Manning in that season opener coming up next Saturday. So that's going to be very, very exciting to watch. Not only Arch, but Julian Sayin now, and get to see two of these younger quarterbacks with very, very high expectations and who can get the better of the other one to kick off the season. But this is now the 4th Alabama quarterback that will be a starter in the Power 4 this upcoming season. So, of course, Ty Simpson, obviously, that one speaks for itself, as he has now been named the starting quarterback at Alabama. Julian Sayin, he's going to be the starter at Ohio State. And if you remember, he was a part of the 2024 recruiting class, and then not too long after Nick Saban retired and Kalen DeBoer was hired and brought his staff in there, Julian Sayin decided to dip. And he was literally on campus for like 2 weeks, I think, if that, before heading to Ohio State. But you also had Dylan Lonergan, who had transferred there recently to Boston College. He was named the starter by Bill O'Brien just a couple of days ago. And then you had Eli Holstein, who had transferred, I guess, 2 years ago now to Pitt, and he was their starter last year when they started off. I think they were like 7-0 at one point. They had a really hot start last year, and he was playing some pretty good football at times. So Eli Holstein at Pitt, Dylan Lonergan, Boston College, now Julian Sayin at Ohio State, and then, of course, Ty Simpson going to be the starter for Alabama this year. So you got 4 guys that I was trying to remember if they were all in the room together at one point, but I'm thinking Eli Holstein might have left before Julian Sayin got there. But at least for a while, you had 3 of these guys in that quarterback room together at Alabama, and now you've got 4 former Alabama guys that are all going to be starting at the Power 4 this season. So not a lot of teams that can say that, Damian.
No.
Doesn't mean anything, but
no,
it's just a fun stat.
It just goes to show you that at one point in time, and also it's kind of have a little bit of resurgence that the scouts at Alabama, they know how to recruit. You might not be a starter, but you'll be a starter somewhere.
Well, I mean, it goes back, if you remember when Lonergan was there as a true freshman. I mean, there were a lot of people that were saying, okay, this is a guy that, when Jalen Milroe's first year, like there was a lot of buzz that Lonergan maybe had the best, had the best ball out of all of them, or threw the best ball. It was just he didn't have the athleticism of Jalen Milroe, and he was young and just hadn't learned the offense yet. But there was a lot of hype around him, and so now he goes to Boston College. And I remember hearing similar things about Holstein and just being a really, really solid player overall. And of course, we know Julian Sand was the highest rated quarterback in his recruiting class a couple of years ago. So going to be interesting to see how all of those guys fare this upcoming year for their respective programs. But how about the Florida Gators? They've got to be happy, as yesterday they got some good news, and that was DJ Lagway getting his first actual reps of fall camp there in 11-on-11 practice yesterday in Gainesville. So that's certainly a good sign as he starts to get things geared up. And, of course, you would have liked for this to probably happen a little bit earlier on in fall camp. But, hey, you got about a week and a half to get him acclimated, get him some reps, get him up to game speed. And so that's certainly good news, Damian, as it refers to DJ Lagway, because I think we all agree, right, if this guy stays healthy, he's very, very special, could be one of, if not the best quarterbacks in the Southeastern Conference this upcoming season. But it's hard, man, when you miss a lot of spring with what he was going through with the shoulder. Now you have the calf injury that's held him out of fall camp. He's got all the talent in the world, and we saw that last year at times. But, these reps and this time is very, very important for a guy as young as him still.
Absolutely. The best ability is availability.
Yep.
That's the only issue that we've been having with DJ Lagway since last year. And again, I think that the talent you cannot deny. It is all over the field. You can see it with your own two eyes when you watch him play, but he has to be on the field. And something that Cole always says, the only way to get better at playing football is by playing football. So as far as your health is concerned, you got to make sure you're at tip-top shape. And for Billy Napier, I mean, yeah, you have to have DJ Lagway on the field, getting that timing down with his receivers, just looking at what the offense could be. And he has to be on the field in order to do that. So congratulations to DJ Lagway as far as being healthy and finally being able to be on the field and get these meaningful reps, because the season is right around the corner, big dog.
Yes, it is. And I know we have a couple of Florida fans here that listen to us on a regular basis, so I know that'll make Drake and Lee and some of those people very, very happy to hear that, and PG as well. So going to be an exciting season with, again, Florida being one of those teams that has some pretty high expectations. And I feel like now, as we're kind of getting this last wave of, you'll see media people, putting out their college football playoff predictions, of which I've seen multiple people now in the last couple of days that have Nebraska making the playoff, which is interesting. I've also seen multiple people that have Florida making the playoff as well. So yeah. Have you not seen those?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple graphics.
Yeah. It's to each their own, and I respect people that are trying to maybe go outside the box a little bit, and I just feel like maybe we're overthinking it sometimes. But
exactly.
To each their own, and who knows? Maybe we'll be wrong about Nebraska, and old Chomp, the Florida Gators, will be in the college football playoff later this year. But we do have a lot of your texts that we want to get to as well as continue to let you chime in with some of your thoughts. What do you think about Julian Sand being named QB1 at Ohio State? If he had stayed at Alabama, do you think he would be the starter right now over Ty Simpson? Maybe he would have been the starter last year over Jalen Milroe if he had stuck around. But I know a lot of people were very excited when he was recruited to Alabama, and very upset when he very quickly bolted for Ohio State. So we'd love to get your thoughts on that. What do you think about Hugh Freeze and his comments about the Auburn quarterback situation? We could dive into that as well, with him saying that you could potentially see all three of the quarterbacks against Baylor in that season opener. So a lot that we've gotten to this morning. We want to hear from you, 205-834-9450, and we will get your thoughts, your reaction here on the other side of Morning JOX on a Tuesday. Thank you for chiming in to JOX. 6:47. Welcome back in to Morning JOX. Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell here with you for a few more moments before we hand you off to McElroy and Kublick in the morning, where I'm sure they will continue to dive into some of what you got to hear from Hugh Freeze yesterday, including his comments about the quarterbacks and how both Ashton Daniels and Deuce Knight have, situations. They have packages, roles for them in the offense, if need be. And then saying on Tiger Talk last night that I guess there's at least the possibility of all three quarterbacks getting on the field against Baylor at one point or another. Some people taking that to mean, maybe there's not as I guess they're not as set at the quarterback position as we had thought with Jackson Arnold, or maybe they're going to try to get too cute with the play calling, things of that nature. But again, I think a lot of that stuff getting overblown, and it's more so Hugh Freeze just expressing his confidence that, hey, if need be, they have an idea of how they could win that football game or how they can be successful on the offensive side of the ball with any of those three guys there under center. So a lot of you chiming in with your thoughts on what's going on there, what we heard from Hugh Freeze, as well as some of these former Alabama quarterbacks that are now going to be starting at other schools across the country later this season, and many, many other topics. So 205-834-9450 is how you can always get on the courtesy GMC text line. Like Josh from Birmingham, who chimes in and says, as an Auburn fan, I've always been perplexed with how people treat Peyton Thorne like he's the special kid in PE. The reality is that he was historically bad at times, and I don't think there's anything wrong with just being honest about it.
I feel like we were ahead of that curve. We tried to explain to people, if you're putting your money behind them, I just wouldn't expect a return on investment to be that high. But, hey, he improved.
He was better last year than I thought he would be.
Yeah, it's just the record was worse.
Correct. But, yeah. He had some. When you just go back and look, and I know you have to look at the context of the games and the win-loss record and things like that, but if you just go and look at his stats last year, they weren't that bad. You'd be, oh, man, okay, he's probably a pretty solid quarterback. And then you look at some of the games and just the situational issues at times. But, yeah, thank you for chiming in with that, Josh. We appreciate you chiming in here this morning. Bobby, he texted, he says, I don't know about making the playoff, but with Nebraska's schedule, I think they'll have a very similar season to Miami from last year, 10-2 and just outside the cut for the playoffs. Nebraska does have a very manageable schedule. Absolutely. I guess I look at Nebraska like some of the other programs where, I just have to see it before I can believe it, right? It's hard for me to go from them winning 7 games last year to winning 10 games and making a playoff. I'm not saying they can't do it, but, that's a big jump from Dylan Raiola. That's a defense that needs to continue to improve. That means that you have some guys on the outside that have, separated themselves as legitimate weapons. You've got a good running game. There's just so much that goes into that we haven't seen from Nebraska in quite some time. To where, sure, if you think they have the schedule to do it, I'm not going to disagree with you, but it's going to be a tough one. It's just surprising to see people. Now, if you're telling me, I think Nebraska is going to be the most improved team in the country this year, and I think they're going to win 9 games, maybe whether that's with a bowl win or not, sure, maybe we can have that conversation. But just to go from 7-5 to 10-2 in a playoff, that's a big stretch. But we will see how it plays out on the field. Let's see. Somebody chimes in, or they ask the question, what Alabama quarterback do you miss the most, and why is it Tua? Reminiscing on the Jalen Hurts, Tua, Mac Jones quarterback room. Yeah, that was a special time. Yes, mine would certainly be Tua.
But the correct answer is Bryce Young.
He was the best. Well, how many national championships?
Hey. Cut it out. But no, it's Bryce Young. He's by far the most talented. He is the best.
To each their own.
The proof is in the Heisman. And he did it at 5'7". Give it up for the short king.
Well, Tua would have one if it wasn't for another dude that was 5'7". That's me being generous on his height. But no, yes, I can accept that yes. Bryce Young maybe was a little bit better than Tua, mainly because he didn't get hurt like Tua did. But
he's healthy. At 5'7", he's doing the exact same thing Tua was doing at a smaller frame. Still was healthy. Yeah.
Didn't win a national championship.
Oh, my God.
Let's see.
So now you're going to tell me Greg McElroy's better than Bryce Young.
Lewis chimes in on the text line here. I cannot read that one. But basically, he is not a fan of Ohio State, but he is rooting for Lonergan and Holstein at Boston College and Pitt, not so much Julian Sayin at Ohio State, which I think
everybody can have.
Let's
success.
be honest, I think a lot of Alabama fans probably view that way of, those guys, hey, look, they needed an opportunity somewhere. We're happy for him. But Julian Sayin, yeah, that guy was gone as quick as he could.
Yeah, he wasn't there long.
No, he was no. Caden Proctor was in Iowa way longer than Julian Sayin was in Tuscaloosa. And I will leave it at that. Let's see. Mark from Coleman chimes in. He says, I'm going to play a little devil's advocate for you this morning. We talk a lot about Arch Manning, but what if he is a bust? Who's the next man in line at Texas? It's Saraland. Is it Lacey? Was that his name?
I think so.
KJ Lacey, that's him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's I believe he's the backup at Texas. I know he's at Texas. Yeah, KJ Lacey, the Saraland quarterback. That would be it. I just find it hard to believe that. I just find if Arch Manning, now if he gets hurt, that's a different situation, but I think barring injury, I think he's going to have quite a long leash there in Austin. Casey chimes in and says, the morning show has the best back from break songs. Well, you can thank Damien for that. He's been in the hits this morning and every morning here. Let's see. Jamie chimes in. He says, hey, good morning, guys. Once again, this is a diehard Bama fan that listens to the Auburn football recruiting show for the last 30 minutes. So I'm getting out of my place of business now. I guess I'll have to go to Google or Facebook to get my information about the Tide. Well, Jamie, you're going to be disappointed because really nothing happened for Alabama yesterday because they didn't practice. So unless you want us to continue to talk about Jam Miller's collarbone that has now been surgically repaired, I don't really...
I don't know what more we can give you.
Don't know what to tell you. Hope you're... I don't think Jamie's going to be rooting for Julian Sayin this year, if I had to guess. Let's see. What is... this text says, no issue with the Auburn quarterbacks to the SEC. WDE, thanks, coach. I choose violence. Okay. They also said... Never mind. It was early. I'm sure that was a typo on their part. I don't think that's what Auburn fans say, though. Blake chimes in and says, maybe Auburn has a QB for each down like they have a coordinator. Roll Tide. Yeah, we've heard that one this morning. And Doug chimes in. He says, of course, Auburn could play all three quarterbacks against Baylor in a blowout either way. Auburn is going to win big. Well, we will absolutely see. Thank you, everyone, for chiming in. We're back tomorrow at 6 a.m. McElroy and Kublik in the morning. They're next.